This week I went to see Robben Ford playing in London. Now, it's not the first time I've seen him, and last time it was, what should we say, disappointing. Now, it wasn't a gig I saw him at last time, it was actually a masterclass put on by Anderton's, and it was in Guildford, and it wasn't particularly good. I'm going to tell you a bit more about that later. So, well, this might be a spoiler for the rest of the video. Was the gig this week better than when I saw him last time? Yes, it was. I really enjoyed it. It was brilliant. And so, as often happens when I go to a gig that I really enjoy, I get inspired from hearing those players. So I've dug out the backing track from Help the Poor, which was on his brilliant 1988 album, Talk to Your Daughter, and I'm going to do a bit of playing over it to start off the video. So here's a bit of me playing before we get into the review. I've just recorded the guitar track, so I thought I'd just put this little postscript in here. If you're interested, I'm using the Dumble from the new UAD Paradise Studio thing. I downloaded the backing track, and that was literally the first take. I've got my 335 down. I thought I'll have a little run through, and there's loads of mistakes in it, but I quite like some of the ideas, so I've put the rest of the track right to the end of it till it fades out at the end of the video. First of all, I want to thank Paul, my friend, who got the tickets. Now, I didn't know about the gig, and to be honest, after my previous experience, I probably wouldn't have gone if Paul hadn't said to me, "Oh, I've got a ticket, do you fancy going?" And I'm so glad that he did ask me, because it was such a good gig. Now, Paul is a brilliant drummer. In fact, that bit of music I play at the start of every one of my videos was from an EP that I did back in 2010, and Paul is the drummer on that. Paul also plays with Natalie Imbruglia, and he plays in lots of shows in the West End. In fact, let me play just a short clip of us playing together, doing a kind of acoustic thing quite a few years ago when we were playing together quite a lot.
So walk away. Have I been here before? I can't turn anymore. Feel their eyes burning me. I don't want it, anyone can see. Everyone was there. I looked everywhere. Everyone was there.
As promised, let me tell you about this masterclass that I went to. Now, Anderton's put on these masterclasses. I've seen a few actually. I saw the Robben Ford one. I saw Larry Carlton and Steve Vai. Another one which I don't think was put on by Anderton's, in fact it wasn't, was Greg Koch, but it was a sort of similar thing. And those other three people that I've mentioned are really used to doing these kind of masterclass clinic things, and they were absolutely brilliant. For instance, Larry Carlton knew exactly what people wanted. He told great stories. It was all prepared to a degree. There was obviously Q&A, but he sort of prepared. He had these great stories about his guitar lesson with Joe Pass. And he had backing tracks for things like Kid Charlemagne, where he played that classic solo note for note, exactly what all those middle-aged grey-haired guitar nerds like me wanted to hear. Now, Robben didn't seem as used to doing these masterclasses as the others that I've seen, and on stage as we walked in, his Dumble amp was there, and Captain Anderson, I think it was, introducing it, came up and said, "I expect some of you are more excited to see the Dumble than you are Robben." And by the end of the evening, I was more excited to see the amp than I was Robben. The problem was, and I don't think it was really Robben's fault as such, he said right at the beginning of the masterclass that he didn't like it when people came and asked him about gear and technique just when he's finished doing a show. You know, he wants to consider that he's been an artist, which I think is absolutely fair enough, especially having seen him this week. That, you know, he's done a show as an artist. The last thing he wants to do is start nerding about guitar technique and guitar gear. But unfortunately, the way it came across was it sounded like he didn't want anybody to ask him about technique technique or gear at this masterclass, which rather defeated the point. So people started asking about songwriting and things like that, and I remember at one point he was trying to remember a song that he'd written. He couldn't remember the words or what key it was in, so it wasn't very good. And I couldn't wait for the whole thing to end. But luckily, the gig this week was nothing like that. Now, I was a little worried when it started, because he kind of, when he first walked onto stage, let me show you a little clip. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong clip. This is the clip of him walking on stage. He came on, and I think somebody, you know, like Peterson or someone, should send him a tuner, because he walked on and then spent 5 minutes tuning his guitar before he started, while we all just sat there watching him. Surely he could have a tuner backstage. But I think this is his normal MO, because I found this clip of him playing with Clapton, and he did exactly the same thing at this gig. Have a look at this.
Robben Ford, please.
So he didn't say anything to the audience when he walked in, and I thought, oh no, we're going to be in for another Bob Dylan experience. Check out my review of Bob Dylan, which was a bit controversial. I'll put a link to it there. It's quite a popular video, that, mainly because I said I didn't enjoy the Bob Dylan gig. But he played the first tune, which was fantastic, and then he spoke to the audience. He made us all feel welcome. He looked like he was pleased to be there. He told great stories. He was funny. He was likeable. It was great. And then he got on with the rest of the gig. And then he sung, which I was hoping he would do, because I really like his voice. So here's a little clip of that.
Can't avoid this confrontation. You set yourself up good, baby. 'Cause I think you're...
Now, before I go any further, I must mention the support act. Her name was Kyla Brox. Her dad was a blues singer. She sang a song about being the daughter of a blues man. I had a look on his Wikipedia page. He played with lots of people. He looked like he was a bit of a legend. And she played with her husband on guitar. Her husband, Danny, or let me look it up, let me get this right, Danny Blomley. He had a really interesting style. I don't think he was using a pick, and he had a great acoustic guitar sound. I've been trying to look him up to find out what pickup he uses. I'm such a nerd. But he was kind of playing really rhythmically and stuff. Let me show you a clip of her singing first. She had a great voice.
Wicked hard heads jump over the edge into the river. Watch our hearts cling. A devil's bridge, our central make none sing. A devil's bridge.
Now, as I say, her husband's on the guitar, and let me just play a little bit of his guitar solo, and he was also quite good at standing on one leg while playing. And then she had another trick up her sleeve, which didn't expect. She started playing the flute brilliantly as well. All in all, really good. So back to Robben. Let's get nerdy for a minute. I forgot to take a photo of the gear at the beginning of his pedal board and stuff. There's stuff online. I think he's been using the same pedal board for a while. But he wasn't using his Dumble. He was using a pair of little Walter amps, which I took here. Just before I left, I thought, oh, I better get a picture of his amps for the video. So these are the little Walter ones. I'm not quite sure which ones they are, but I expect somebody will know. As for the guitars, as you saw in that previous clip, he started on a PRS, and then he picked up a gold top Les Paul, and I looked at it, I thought, well, that looks brand new. It looks really shiny and nice. I thought, I know he's got vintage instruments, but I thought maybe because he's on tour, he's playing a reissue or something. Anyway, I don't think it was. I think it's his original 1952, which he didn't buy that long ago, which is absolutely incredible condition, and sounded great. And yeah, here's a little clip of him playing it. Also, which I thought was a really sort of unexpected surprise, he did a cover of Jealous Guy, which I thought was really nice. Here's a little bit of that.
I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry that I made you cry. I didn't want to hurt you, no.
Now, I have to mention his band, who were phenomenal. There's only 3 of them, and they create this massive sound. The drummer is Ianto Thomas. Now, I thought his name was Ian Thomas, which he's quite commonly known as. And I thought when Robben Ford was introducing him as Ianto, I thought it was kind of like here's Bernardo or Jamo or Davo. You know, I thought it was that kind of thing. But no, his name's actually Ianto because he's Welsh. He's played with the likes of Mark Knopfler, Eric Clapton, loads of other people. I had a look at his website, and he was a fantastic drummer. One of those drummers, he was just playing everything he wanted. It was so funky and groovy, but it never kind of drew attention in that way. It was just there. It was really musical. But he did do a drum solo, and I captured a bit of that on film. You won't have noticed that, but there was a slight pause. I had to go to my computer because I was in a queue waiting to get tickets to go and see Eric Clapton, but I didn't manage to get one. It was at G Live, so you won't be seeing a Clapton review coming up unless I get a ticket from someone on that one. Now, where was I? Yes, the keyboard player. Now, the keyboard player, Johnny Henderson, he's the guy who plays keys with Matt Schofield when he does his organ trio. And I've seen a few guys doing the organ trio thing. Greg Koch, his band is an organ trio. But this guy, Johnny Henderson, I don't know what it is. He's got the most ridiculous amount of gear. He must have a massive van to cart his stuff around him. Here's a little clip here. You can see it looks like it's a custom built kind of bit of scaffolding that he's got the Hammond on, which has always got the foot pedals all built into it. He's got a Nord on the top of it. And behind him, he's got a full-size Leslie. He's got a guitar amp and a bass amp. I assume that's all his gear. And he's playing left hand, or he's playing the bass, which I think is a combination between the foot pedals and his left hand. I looked it up, kind of how these guys do this. They play the fast stuff with the hand, and then you can get like little percussive things and low throbbing notes from the foot pedals. And he's constantly on the sort of volume pedal with his other foot, got just his sock on his left foot. Everything he played was just perfect. What he played, so dynamic. And really, as I said before, really funky. I mean, the drums and this bass that he's doing, without a bass player, it's so funky. He's an incredible player. So let me just play you a bit of that. So then Robben switched to a Strat. Now he's got an upcoming album which is called 2 Shades of Blue, I believe, and he's got some sort of legendary players on like Darryl Jones, Larry Goldings, Gary Husband, and he's doing as he said, Robben Ford's obviously a massive fan of Jeff Beck, and he admires him, and he said, I can't play like him, but I can do a tribute to him. And he wasn't trying to do the sort of Jeff Beck whammy stuff, but he played on the Strat, and he did a few whammy things. And he did a couple of, I'm assuming these are kind of original tunes, and then he did drop in, if anyone is there can remember what this was, he dropped in a tune which I'm really familiar with, and I now can't remember which one it was. I think it's off Wired. I think it was Goodbye Pork by Hat. If I'm wrong, let me know. And he did a bit of that. And it was great. It was really good. He used some interesting sounds. And then he played the Strat for a few numbers. Then he went to put it down. Some of the audience said, that's a nice Strat, don't stop playing. He went, no, it is a nice Strat, but it needs some work. So he put it down, and I think he picked his Les Paul back up again. unfortunately I had to leave the gig before the end. The weather wasn't very good and the trains in this country are patchy, let me say. My daughter's recently started college and has to get the train every day, and it's made me realise how often they get cancelled. I don't know how people put up with it. I've only had the briefest of spells where I've had to commute on the train, and they do let you down quite frequently. So I didn't want to wait for the very last one back and get stranded in London overnight, so I got the penultimate one back, but it did mean I missed the very end of the gig. But I had to say I was left thinking that was absolutely brilliant. I wasn't expecting much from my last experience. I really wanted to go because I wanted to see Paul, because I hadn't seen him for such a long time, and I knew I'd find it interesting even if I didn't enjoy it, but I absolutely loved it. And it's a great venue. It's called the 229. It's by Great Portland Street Tube Station in London, and it's the same place where I saw Jimmy Vaughan not that long ago. I did a review on that too, which I shall link to here. And it does puzzle me that, I mean, Robben, he's such a great player. He's one of the greats. Now I've seen him close up, he's got such a lovely feel. He does exactly the right amount of jazziness of playing outside. You know, he's mainly playing bluesy stuff because it was a blues gig rather than a jazz gig. He's not playing loads of jazz over it, which, you know, for me, I don't understand it. I find it a bit inaccessible, and I don't like it, quite frankly. So he's playing really nicely within that kind of the blues genre, with the odd bit that makes it interesting. And I can't see why he's playing in a 600-seat venue and someone like Joe Bonamassa is playing in a 4,000-seat venue when he's just doing a load of old widdly pentatonic stuff. To me, there was no comparison. I did a video on Joe Bonamassa as well. I mean, Joe Bonamassa's a great player, but I don't find it interesting. He didn't talk to the audience either. I didn't think it was a very good show. It left me completely cold. Whereas this Robben Ford show was absolutely brilliant. So I'd say, if you get the choice, go and see Robben Ford, not Joe Bonamassa. And the tickets were a fraction of the price, and it was a much smaller venue. You stand right up close to him as well, see exactly what he's doing. And it's strange as well. I mean, Robben Ford, he's played with Miles Davis, Joni Mitchell. I mean, he's got a huge history. In fact, there's a great video I saw on YouTube of him playing with Jimmy Witherspoon as well when he was really young, and he sounds fantastic in that. Despite the fact his actual masterclass was terrible, I think this was a masterclass on how to put on a blues gig, because it was really enjoyable. He was very personable, he spoke to the audience, and I think he was throwing things around. He wasn't sticking just to a set list. Somebody shouted something out and he played it as a request. Really entertaining, really enjoyable. Definitely recommended. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave you with a bit more of that track of me playing in a Robben Ford's type style. I bring out new videos 7 PM UK time every Friday, so I hope to see you next week.